Okay, we're on. Hi guys, hi everyone. Welcome. Alex, good morning. How are you? Back on the show. Are you feeling good?
I am good. It's good to be back. I think I shared with you a little bit before that decided on a whim to get some baby chickens yesterday. So been very eventful 24 hours.
They are so cute. I literally screamed when you sent me the video. I was just like, I wish I could come over and just see these baby chicks. They are adorable.
They
It's
are
like,
adorable.
wish I could have a pet.
We need to name the rest of them. So if you have ideas, they're all ladies. We've got Dolly Parton and we've got Tina Turner so far. If you have ideas, put them in the chat, open to anything. Bonus
How
points
many?
for creativity. We have 4 others.
4. Oh my god, you have 6 chicks. I thought you only had 2.
No.
This is committed. A little farm is starting in your house. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's get cracking. So, welcome everyone to the Keys to AWS Optimization, the show where we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock your cost optimization at AWS. My name is Stephanie Gooch, or Steph Gooch, and I'm a commercial architect at AWS. And I hit my 1-year anniversary of working here with Alex on Tuesday, which was very exciting. Got my second COVID vaccine on the day, so it felt great. But yeah, it's been a good time. So I work mainly with telco customers to help them optimize their spend or do any kind of cloud financial management stuff.
Yes, and congratulations on 1 year. I am Alex Head, and I run the optics team. That stands for Optimization Intelligence for Cloud Systems. So my team is full of amazing people like Steph, Ali, who's been on here, Biddle, Bryce. I think we've had a lot of the team on here, and they're all dedicated to different ones of our large strategic industries, and their job is to help save you money. And find creative ways to be more efficient and understand cost and usage and learn with the customer on all different ways to optimize.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about FinHacks. And if you don't know what that is, we have the creator of the FinHack with me today, Alex. So we're going to go all into detail about what that is, more about it, how you can get involved if you want to come in from the customer side, and a little bit more of the bigger picture stuff. So why this kind of thing's important, what elements you could take away and do in your own business if you wanted to, not necessarily a massive FinHack, but wanted to do the elements of it, and also some of the granular stuff. So what do we actually look for when we do them? And as always, please feel free to put comments, questions, anything in the chat. We'd love to hear from everybody, whether it's about this subject specifically, if you want us to clarify anything or answer any questions, or general questions, and we can try and answer them on the day. So FinHacks, Alex, why don't you give an intro of what a FinHack is and where it kind of came from?
Yeah, so when I started at Amazon almost 4 years ago, I was working with our global customers, and there's like about 40 customers that they had picked to, I don't know what the right definition is, but that were large and global and had a presence everywhere. And it was my job to go in and kind of give that white glove treatment of how do you save money and here's where you can save. And so I had one customer in particular, and we've had that customer on the show. It was Dow Jones, and now Shaun, who works with us, but Shaun was over there at the time. And every month I would show them, hey, you can save money here, you can save money here. And a lot of it was like spot instances. And there was just a lot of confusion across the board. And finally, like 6 months in, Shaun, me, and some of the SAs sat down and were like, well, why aren't we taking action on any of these?
Right.
And all brainstormed together and came up with the concept of a FinHack. So essentially what we wanted to have anyone who touched AWS in a room together. So even if it was someone on the finance side, if it was someone on the technical side, a manager, anything. So it needed to be the people whose hands were on the keyboards. Right. And they needed to have access to AWS, right? I think it's important they can get in. We wanted to have them all in one room. We wanted to pick 3 subjects that we could really, really deep dive into. And we wanted to bring in experts. So we wanted to give them a break from the day-to-day of their account team and, bring new faces in to give that opportunity. And so the first half of this day, and I also will preface that we had kind of our executive sponsor and Shaun on the Dow Jones side, which was really, really instrumental, right? To kind of rah, get the troops going.
Right, if we're interested, yeah.
Yeah, so what we did is on that day, we had 3 deep dive sessions, and we didn't want this to be anything people had seen before. So like nothing that they had seen at reInvent or could just watch online. So we personalized it to them with their data. Cool. And we did a deep dive on Spot and really looking at their environment and where they could use it. We did a deep dive on instance scheduling. So what could we turn on and off? And then we did a deep dive on how can we view and track our progress, right? So like how can Bob on his team be able to say, hey, I saved this much money, right? We wanted everyone to have that data at their fingertips. So we did those 3 deep dives, had lunch, and then when we came back from lunch, each person in the room, and there was about 40 people, decided which subject they wanted to go further into. And so those 3 groups split up, and that's when we took out our laptops and started going and finding savings and finding places to use Spot, using the instance scheduler. We pulled up some dashboards in QuickSight. We went through their third-party tooling and saw what kind of dashboards we could bring there. And then at the end of the day, everyone came back and each group presented on what savings they found and what they were going to change. And the executive sponsor picked a winner, and that winner won a prize. I think at the time that was like an Echo. So we drove savings and taught to fish and walked out of there with it. So it slowly grew within Globals, and it's kind of grown from there.
Awesome. Just so people, if they want to see, we chatted to Shaun on this episode below, which you can check out on YouTube, a bit more about his background and some information, some cool stories when he worked with Alex before. That sounds like a really fun day to me. I would really enjoy attending a FinHack. And I've been to hackathons, but never a FinHack or one that's been that kind of specific. And I love the elements of like the education part you do first, and then you focus on kind of what you want to do and what you're going to get the most benefit out of. So you get to try lots of different things. So what do you think is the biggest reason why people should have a FinHack? Or actually, before we go into that, we also want to say that when we're talking about FinHacks, I think it also should include the generic kind of higher level concept of it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you sign up to an AWS FinHack and you do an event day. It could be that you might run internal training sessions, like your FinOps team might want to teach people how to use Scheduler, how to use Spot that you can do yourselves. You might just want to share with people in your departments like a dashboard that you've made to say, this is how much money we're saving, or this is what we're spending. So just to kind of emphasize that. What do you think, why do you think they're needed? Like, what was the biggest driving force, apart from the fact that there was lots going on, that you think really made people want to get involved and do this FinHack day?
Well, first off, I think some things when you're in a big organization, or it doesn't have to be a big organization, but sometimes it's a little scary to try something new, right? You don't want to break something. And so doing it as a group is always helpful. Adding the gamification of it is always going to get people to kind of hit the ground running on that standpoint. And then personalizing it to them. So there's so many good resources out there, and we have amazing, well-architected labs that Steph can share the link to. And if you are in a smaller organization, or you just kind of want to get your team excited and you don't necessarily want to do a full-blown FinHack, pick one of those well-architected labs, walk through it yourself, and then personalize it to your team, right? It's all about taking that education piece and personalizing it to the team and making a game out of it. I had one FinHack that I think this might have been one of my favorites, where it was a little bit smaller. I think we had 18 people. And after our dive deep sessions and some of our like hackathon sessions, we all sat in a room and literally started doing a massive cleanup of their environment. Like,
oh, wow.
Hey, it gave me a little anxiety. I was like, I'm going to break something. But it was, oh my gosh, it was so fun. We were just like running around the room and tallying up on the board who was saving the most money.
Oh my gosh.
Make it a game. I mean, you can make anything a game in that standpoint. I mean, I know Steph, if I add prizes to anything on the team, she's most likely going to be in first place at some point.
I'm going to try hard to win that competition. That's definitely a great point. We've definitely brought it up before when I was at KPMG. We had things where people would start to want to show off when they realized they could save money. They wanted to show off that they were doing really well. They wanted to be the most optimized team. And then not so they could say like, oh, the other team's not very good. It's more about saying we are really good. We're like following the kind of 5 pillars of cloud or AWS and being really cost optimized. But love the gamification thing. I remember some developers, when we found out we had like hundreds of snapshots that have been there since like 2015, back in 2019. And we were like, what are these things doing here? These could be deleted. And people getting me as well, getting so excited about running around and just like deleting all this stuff and then watching as Cost Explorer's costs just like trickled down. So yeah, that's awesome.
You bring up a really good point there. The most important part about any of this, about a FinHack, about doing gamification just with your team, is that you have to track it. And so I always tell people before we even start the conversation, we need 2 things. Number one, we need an executive sponsor. We need a boss to say, hey, I stand by you using an entire day to do this, right? Take away any barriers possible. Number 2 is that you have a centralized way to track cost and usage. You have one clean way to do that. Maybe it's the cost intelligence dashboard. Maybe it's one of our amazing third-party partners that you can view cost and usage through. You need to define where whoever is like heading up that FinHack is going to attract these savings so that they know how to too. And even if it's not one of the deep dive sessions, I always suggest that like 20, 30 minutes is spent on that topic.
Yeah.
Because none of it matters if I turned a bunch of things off, if I can't go and calculate how much I saved.
Yeah. And this is a really interesting subject. It's come up a few times in our conversations and with customers. And if anybody has any ways that they're doing it at their customers, we're really interested to know. And if you're watching this later, then let us know on Twitter or email or LinkedIn. Like, feel free to contact us and share any ideas or thoughts that you have. But this like looking back concept is, somebody asked me the other day to try and do a query which did the look back concept, and it's quite tricky because you need to have that list of what did you actually do to make the savings. So big recommendation there is make sure that you track everything that you're doing. If you start out an Excel sheet, that's fine, but try and be a bit more creative. If there's ways you can use the Kerr or a dashboard, then that's awesome. We've got a question. No,
it was just me talking to Rob. So wait, but I do have a question for you, Steph. So you know, I am not in the weeds as much as I used to be, and I definitely have a passion for FinHacks. So for your standpoint and what you're seeing with customers, what would be your top 3 topics to have customers dive into for a FinHack?
I think number 1 is what you were saying about the show back kind of thing. That's definitely in there, because I think that's a problem that lots of people are having. Maybe one, right sizing is, I feel like, such a boring one to say, but it is like a common one that people don't know how to do. Maybe more around the native tools that can help you do that, and thinking about how can I use Cost Explorer, Compute Optimizer, or Cost Explorer right sizing recommendations, whatever suits you best, or Trusted Advisor. But how can I take what's in there and then put it back into my infrastructure, but in like a really clever, automated kind of way? Would love to see what came out of developers if we said, here's the set of data, here's your infrastructure as code. How do you put these together so that they can like influence each other? That would be, I'd love to see other people kind of work out how to do that. That would be really cool. And then what would be my third one? I think Graviton is something that people more and more are getting into and wanting to test the water. And like you said earlier about that like safe environment, they don't want to break stuff. So if you've got a day where you're in your UAT account or you're in your Sandbox account and you want to test out, okay, what if we do migrate to a Graviton database or Elasticsearch or something, or even go as far as trying to like recompile your code so it goes onto an EC2 on Graviton, then that would be like a really good way of people testing it without freaking out that they're going to make a big commitment or something like that. Oh, Rob's replied.
What did he say?
Oh, I could put it up here. So Rob is someone we know, and he is replying to Alex's question of what is your favorite part of a FinHack. And he says, we're looking at data. When I try and create a sample website in a training lab, it's not mine. When I look at the cost data, it's much stickier. It leads to threads to investigation. So when you do, I think he's trying to say when you do a FinHack, you can try and go in there and like mess around with stuff and you actually kind of control what's being created.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're investigating in real time, right? When you're, I just dropped something off my desk. When you're watching a webinar or a video, and number one, it's not personalized to you, but number two, you're following around and you're listening. The cool thing about the FinHacks is like we're asking you questions while we're teaching, and so you're diving into your stuff and finding it and following along, and then you have the opportunity to ask questions as you see. So to go back to your three, I would almost combine some of the I would combine 2 and 3 and have like I could probably come up with a clever name, or Allie could, but like it's like Tinder for compute. Do you have Tinder in London? You know what Tinder is?
Yeah, we know what Tinder is.
Like dating for compute, like finding the right size, finding the right type, trying on, different things and different scenarios.
Someone's going to create this now, you know that. It's a new marketing idea.
Copyright. I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great idea. So combining. So what would you be your third one then if you swap out that one?
Oh, well, this was your question, so I shouldn't. I'd say storage. Storage. Okay, something along this lines of storage. I think it's something that people don't ever think about. And there's so much automation and easy things that you could put in and show instant savings. I mean, to be honest, out of all the things, if you're doing a competition to who saved the most money, your biggest opportunity will probably be in storage. Because you probably have cleanup, and then you can also change to different tiers. And I believe that we just had a storage announcement that came from Storage Days.
Yeah, I can whip that up. Do you know what it is off the top of your head? Otherwise, I can grab it.
I don't have it. But I was reading it before this because you shared it. So coming out of Storage Days, which we did an episode on storage last week with Allie, in case you missed that. There it is. Amazon S3 intelligent tiering further automates storage cost savings by removing the minimum storage duration and monitoring an automation charge for small objects. Do you want to give the cliff notes of what that means?
Okay, so somebody wrote back to me of how they explain this when I shared this somewhere else. So I believe it's objects that are smaller than 128 kilobytes. They don't get moved to IA, but they're not going to get the monitoring free anymore. So they're just going to get ignored. So you're not going to have to pay for that anymore. And that's the big thing, I think, is one of the key things with that. But check out the blog post, which I have put down below as a great kind of announcement. And also there was the YouTube video from last week where we talked more about Storage Day, and all of the Storage Day content is still on Twitch. So still feel free to go and check that out, learn a bit more about storage. As Alex said, it's a great topic. And we are going to do an EBS storage talk, I think in 2 or 3 weeks with another guy from our team. So that's something to look forward to. And
so really with FinHacks, you could almost have like your own mini storage day. Like if you chose storage as one of your go-tos, like let's get a storage expert in there and have that be one of the deep dive subjects.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many elements of it, isn't there? There's like not just your S3 storage, your EBS, there's all the little things like how much you're storing your CloudWatch logs, because you always pay for storage for different services. So it's like keeping your eye on what you're actually consuming and using, and all these hidden areas that you can save money with. So you said your like favorite story of when you were able to see people running around saving money. What's something that maybe not your worst story, that doesn't sound good, but something that maybe went wrong in a FinHack, or advice for people that are going to do them, what to make sure that they avoid, or if anybody's doing their own kind of education days?
Yes, great question. So first thing is make sure everyone involved has access to the right account, and preferably to a non-production account as well. Right. Like some sort of sandbox account where people can feel comfortable and they can try it out. Right. Even if this person is finance and they don't need like kind of development resources, make sure that they can at least get in and see like the Cost Explorer and Kerr, things like that. So we've wasted a lot of time at some FinHacks trying to get to that point. Okay. Number two is I mean, I think where I see sometimes when people do the breakout groups, they gravitate towards their team. Right. Work with other teams, because you'll learn more about what they're doing. They'll learn about your processes. And I think the most productive FinHacks have had that aspect of them. It's a cool piece too. April is who heads up the FinHack program, and she and her team have been trying out multi-customer FinHacks. And that is a cool aspect that you get there. And I'm excited to see that grow a little bit and evolve. I think Steph has the link to it for you guys to take a look. The next one is September 22nd. So maybe you are interested in a FinHack, but you want to learn a little bit more. This is a good event to sign up for and get that taste of a FinHack before you go in. And then I'd say the biggest thing is a FinHack is a commitment. So remember that we're getting lots of people on our side committed their full day time to this. Commit your time too, and make sure that everyone knows it's important, right? These take about a month to plan so that we can make sure the right people are in the right room and you get all the benefit. Don't rush training and hackathons and things like this. Make sure that you have the preparation, that people can block off that day, that you're asking the right questions and you have the right resources, unless you'll end up doing it again.
Yeah, that's a great, the call out you made about the teams thing, about not going with your team. That's really interesting. I would never have thought of that to be like a thing to remind people of, but probably because when you're doing it, it's like when you're in school and you have like now we call them PE lessons. I have no idea. Physical education lessons? Is that what you call them?
PE.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Otherwise, they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? But you always want to go with your friends. And I think that's this great kind of collaboration concept of almost not necessarily forcing people to mix up, but that is when you do get those different perspectives. And especially when you think about, like you said, we're inviting the stakeholders or the managers, we're inviting the finance teams, we're inviting the developers, getting them to talk where they probably don't talk about this kind of stuff will really create some exciting new areas, rather than just doing like a developer set and a kind of finance set, which can just create probably the same ideas they've already had. But yeah, that's a really interesting call out. I like that idea. Okay, yeah. Go on, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I think if you don't come into it with excitement, you're going to get in what you get out, right? I mean, I think if you come in excited, ready to work with other people, ready to partner, and remember, you're not just coming in to cut the cost and make finance happy. You're coming in to use awesome new features. Usually we're, trying to use some of the newest and greatest things, and you're learning how to use them in a cost-effective way to also make your boss happy. So it's a win-win all around. You come in with that attitude, and it's the way to get the best results.
Definitely. And when you do the days, as I said, I haven't been on one. So do you see a lot of people kind of going down the native track? So they're actually just like literally doing what you said, like deleting stuff or trying out graviton or stuff, or do you see people kind of creating new solutions a lot of the time? So are people trying to create like a finance solution? Which kind of way does it normally go, or a bit of both?
Oh, I would say both for sure. And I like to see a mixture of both in it. I like to see how some groups do a lot of the cleanup, and then some groups are like, well, we could really automate here, here, and here. I think it also depends on who we're bringing as our experts. Like if I brought you in to a FinHack, you'd probably help guide them down that path. If I was the person that was brought in, I would probably be stressing, where my strengths are and like KPIs and stuff. So it depends who's there. But I've definitely seen both and a mixture of it. I think essentially almost all of them have some cleanup. And the executive sponsor really needs to okay that, right? They need to say, hey, if you see this cleanup, do it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also quite empowering to hear people say, like, go and do this thing that's maybe not exactly what your job is. Because I think a lot of times developers, when I was doing it, you like wanted to build new stuff and not necessarily care about the stuff that already exists, and clean up and cost saving wasn't always the most exciting thing. So making it this kind of competitive environment and making it innovative, I can't say the word, so that you're pushed to kind of build some new fun stuff, but it's for like a good reason that's going to affect the business, then that's like, that sounds great. That sounds fun.
Yeah, and I think Rob has a good point here too, that it is really important to mix different skill sets. That can be really fun. So like if I say a finance person joins the spot session, they're going to understand so much more the inner workings of what kind of questions you have to ask, what they should be looking for. Finance really, really, really should be in the room, right? Yeah. For them to fully understand what is important to IT, what is important to DevOps, and understanding those costs and really what makes those costs. So it's not just some mysterious bill that they get.
Yeah, definitely. Right. With the last couple of minutes, I just want to reiterate, we shared the link earlier, but please feel free to go and sign up to this. This is the multi-company FinHack. So you can just come along, join, and the two main topics are going to be Spot and auto scaling. So if you're like me and you want to learn a bit more about Spot, then you can do that. You can also come to next week's session. We are doing a Spot session focused on that. We're bringing in an expert who knows way more than I do to chat a bit about Spot and where to use it. So really recommend coming and seeking that information out. Feel free, as always, to contact us. We want to hear from all of you. Please let us know by email, by Twitter, or on LinkedIn how you like the show, if you have any feedback, and also what you want to see coming up. So we do want to hear from you to make sure we're covering topics that you enjoy. Any last kind of closing statements about FinHacks, Alex?
Go attend the one with the link that we just sent out. You have no reason not to. Go ahead, sign up, just listen, hear what hear what goes on, so you get the gist of it. Always feel free to ask questions, ask your account team questions. And that's really the path. If you want like your own FinHack, you're going to go through your account team. And last thing is, remember, I on a whim bought 6 baby chickens yesterday. So if you have any good names, please send them our way. Please. They're all ladies. So please let me know.
Tweet Alex.
I actually
tweet.
Yes, tweet.
Oh God.
Oh, there you go. I meant at. I put a hashtag instead. It's okay.
No, Rob, not buck. Oh my God.
I'm super passionate about FinHacks. I'm happy to answer any questions, and excited to see how they grow and how this next one goes on September 22nd.
Awesome. And on that note, I'm just going to say I think Taylor Swift should be one of the chicks. So that's my suggestion, because I
think that could win. We have a blonde one. It was going with Barbara Walters for a minute, but I might have to switch it to Taylor Swift. I could do that.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
We'll see you next week for our session on Spot, and have a good week.